Hello and welcome. I'm so glad that you're able to join us for the Music Cruise Virtual Conference 2022. This session is called Rhythm is Life: Practical Strategies for Preparing and Practicing Rhythm. I'm Beth Pasanchin, and you may know me from Beth's Music Classroom. Today, I will be discussing helpful strategies and tips for teaching rhythm to young students, trying to make it simple and real for them. I wanted to first start off with a quote. Music is a more potent instrument than any other for education because rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul. Plato. How powerful that is. That rhythm and harmony find their way into our students, our young students even. And here's another great quote. Often a single experience will open the young soul to music for a whole lifetime. Kodai. A single experience that may take place in your classroom, whether it be a song, a game, or any type of activity that could open the young soul to music. We may have band students, young students that will join the band one day, choir. Some may be music teachers. And even if they're not in music, we want them to be lifelong learners and enjoy music. So I just wanted to open with that quote because we want our students to be involved and excited about music. Well, teaching rhythm to young students at a young age is so important, as it is the foundation of music making and enjoyment. And how can we make this come to life for our young children? As a kid, I remember learning and hearing from teachers, this is a quarter note. These two notes are eighth notes. This is a half note, and so on and so on. And that didn't mean a whole lot to me at the age of 6 or 7 years old. So in my classroom, I want to make rhythm reading simple, understandable, and real to my students. I strive to make it come to life in lots of different ways. In this session, I would love to show you some of those ideas and tips that I have for doing that with your students. So today we will look at teaching rhythm with the Kodai method, with the 3 Ps of the method. Next, we will dig deeper into some tips and tricks on preparing rhythmic activities that come to life. And finally, we will discuss some games and activities to use with students to make them become more rhythmic, beatful, and musical. So first, I'm sure many of you have heard of the Kodai method, and maybe you've even taken your levels in the past. But if not, the 3 Ps used often in this method by Zoltan Kodály include prepare, present, and practice. So let's look at each of those. The preparation stage. This starts with the familiar and builds sequentially. So when my students really have mastered steady beat, I begin preparing rhythmic reading, but I'm never calling it quarter notes and eighth notes. So begins this preparation stage where students learn all about the rhythm without ever calling it by name. The emphasis is on the experience and discovery and the reinforcement. So they're starting with something familiar, moving on from there, and this continual reinforcement will help them be ready for the next stage, which is the presentation stage. And it's really a moment to make conscious, where the knowledge doors are opened. What students already know or have been practicing with different words is now presented to the class, but with the real big kid name. I like to call it that with my students. They feel special. It's the big kid name. And I always do a drum roll right before we do this presentation. And I'll say, drum roll, please. And I will say, musicians call this rhythm A, or this melody. And that's it. It's the moment is over and the initial practice stage begins. This introduces the element in the musical setting. It's showing what it looks like, maybe on the staff or in a measure or however. Students participate in activities centered around this new element: reading, singing, composing, decoding, writing, and more. Now, it may sound so formal and precise, but add some excitement and spice to your rhythm lessons, and students won't even know they're learning. So, how can we make our lessons come to life? I asked this before, and if you have any ideas, you can write them on your handout. If you got your handout printed or you're using it digitally, that's great. If not, you can find it in the Facebook post in the Music Crew Collaborative. So first or second, let's look at some rhythmic preparation activities. So in the first few months of school, I love using pre-reading activities. I use them a lot of different ways because I'm trying to include visual, oral, and kinesthetic activities so that I can help all of my students, all the different learners in my classroom. I'm leading them through speaking patterns while they're feeling the beat. So maybe at the beginning of the year, I would say, book, book, pencil, book. And I'm going to repeat different activities, maybe with different holidays or seasons. And I will have them pat the steady beat. But remember, repetition is key because they will not be ready for that present moment if they haven't done it many times and in many different styles. So here's a few that I use. I would just speak this. I wouldn't show them at first, and maybe ask them if they can think of a new pattern that we could make too. So sometimes I'll use like little composing activities where they're dragging and dropping in Google Slides and speaking it. I used this when we did virtual learning. So then they would speak book, pencil, book, pencil. Then the visual part is important also because I want students to be able to look and read it on their own. And we really haven't talked about syllables yet, but we're just recognizing that there are 8 boxes up there and that the pencils, there's 2 pencils, and when we clap pencil, we have 2 sounds. So I will have them practice this while patting the steady beat and while clapping the way the words go. And I'll say, put the words in your hands. And I can visually assess which students understand that because at first it's not that simple for them, for young students. So I will say, do you get it? And I look around and the students that get it will often respond, yes, I get it, or yes, I do. And the others may just need a little bit of reinforcement and help with that. Later on, after we've done pencil and apple, we've done it first orally and then visually. Later on in September, I love using apple and for 2 sounds and tree for 1 sound and doing these pre-reading patterns. Students just read right through them. And then with older students, 1st grade, 2nd grade, I will use the core for 0 sounds for the rest. And I make sure to explain that it's an empty beat, sort of like an empty seat. We still have a steady beat there. We just don't say anything. A great prepare activity here, you can incorporate a rhythm with apple tree. Now, they may not be able to read the melody up on the top, but you can include just the lyrics if you wanted. So I will split my students up into 2 groups. One will be assigned to sing the song Apple Tree, while the other group plays a pattern on rhythm sticks or maracas or any instrument. So they'll be just playing apple tree, while the song is being sung. Well, young students will definitely need to move from time to time. So I'll give them a movement break and we will use some of these words to create rhythm patterns as well. So tiptoe, clap maybe, and they'll tiptoe. And then for whatever pattern we use, clap will be the quarter note and tiptoe will be the 2/8 notes. My students like wiggle and freeze and shuffle and slide. So we'll shuffle our feet and then slide. You can also use real life movement examples or real life activities like brushing your teeth. Just designate what action is for which words, and they should be able to do this, especially young students. I love using the windshield wipers, so we'll use our hands, we'll switch our hands back and forth for the windshield, and then we'll pat for the rain, like it's coming down. So it's windshield rain, windshield rain. This past year with COVID, washing your hands was a big one too. So for the soap, we would pretend to put 1 squirt of soap, and washing, we would rub our hands together. So soap, soap, washing, washing. And you can find some of these examples in the handout as well. Well, here are some pre-reading charts that I use with my students, from voices to movement to icons. And they are reading these through, even with older grades. When I teach half note and 16th notes, it's normally in the winter, and we'll do ice skating. So we'll use glide to feel that half note. They have never seen the half note, but they're experiencing it, that it's longer than 1 beat because it's like sliding on the ice. Or for the 16th notes, we'll say figure skating, glide. With triplets, I like using strawberry pie, or you can use cinnamon bun. So students would read this rhythm before they ever see the triplets. Pie, pie, strawberry pie. They can see that there are 3 strawberries on there, and strawberry has 3 sounds. Young students, preschool age, you can use shapes or colors. They're probably learning those in their preschool class or at home. So they really enjoy telling you that they know them also. Now, they may need a little bit more time to process this and echo it, but they can definitely do this. So you can say circle, square, circle, square. You can also have them say yellow, blue, and just discuss how they see 2 circles and 1 square. Engine number 9 is one I'm sure you know, and it's a favorite of my students each year. They love this. It's a great one for teaching quarter notes and 1/8 notes, and for prepping, presenting, and preparing. So I show them the steady beat. We speak the words with the steady beat. Then we go and we look at each heartbeat, and I ask them, how many sounds in the first heartbeat? And we clap it. Engine. How many sounds? 2 sounds. Okay. What color should I color? Circle that. So then students will raise their hands and tell me their favorite color, of course. And I help them discover that yellow is a good choice, or orange, because it has 2 sounds. So hopefully my students see where I'm headed with this, and we'll be able to find all of the correct colors for each one. So we'll circle all of the 2 sounds with yellow. And then I will ask, what color should I color the heartbeats that have 1 sound? Blue, yes, or red, or black. So now we put them all together and we discuss how there's 2 sounds, yellow, and 1 sound in blue. And here we have sort of like a rhythmic composition that students can relate to. They don't know quarter notes and 1/8 notes yet, but they know their colors. So they can say yellow, 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 blue. Now they can speak this rhythmic pattern in something that's relatable to them. And then I'm always sure to like put it back with the correct words. Yet students can still see the two parts for the yellow and the one part for the blue. Here's another activity that I did on Zoom when we were virtual. If the train falls off the track, can you speak this pattern back? And so students at home, I'll take a big pause, and students at home can say blue, blue, yellow, blue. Or sometimes when I was doing hybrid or even virtual, full virtual, I would just insert a student's name and say, can Johnny speak this pattern back? Can Brianna speak this pattern back? And they would unmute themselves and say it. So, rhythmic preparation ideas. Remember, it is important to have repetition and have them experience this concept of whether it's prepping for quarter note, eighth note, half note, rest, whatever. They need to experience it in many different ways, feeling it, moving to it, clapping it, speaking it. So think outside of the box when you're creating these pre-reading rhythm activities. Seasonal words or items, action words for movements, real life activities that your students know about and they can easily perform, shapes, colors, and also names of students. So you can have students say their name and figure out which color would represent their name. So if you have two sounds in your name, like Jaden does, and yellow, then come stand over here by the yellow paper. Or maybe you have one sound like red, or maybe you have three sounds like indigo. Or, you can get them talking about that. I'm sure many will have three sounds or four sounds as well. So those are some rhythmic preparation ideas. And now we are on to the rhythmic presentation. And it is really just a moment. It's very brief. It's a time to make conscious. So in this case, I have here the engine number 9 slides that I use. And I say, well, we're going to learn it the big kid way now. Drum roll, please. That one sound that we circled blue, that is called a quarter note. That's what composers use, and it looks like this. We will say ta or do or whatever you say. You can use this no matter what. You can use something, any system you want. And two sounds is yellow. We call that in the big kid language TT or eighth notes. And the present moment is basically over. It's the drum roll time for students to learn what's actually called and what composers call it. And now we are on to the practice activities. So now I show you these slides here because these are some of the same slides I had on the up with the colors, but now they have the big kid language. So I do the same activities. Since you know the big kid way, can you say it back today? And I always love with virtual learning, I had some students that were in kindergarten tell me, I already know that even before I presented it. My second grade sister told me, and I just love that. So they're talking about this. They enjoy these activities. It's meaningful to them. And especially when you use the word big kid, when you use those words, they feel special. So we will read it through with the big kid way. And just like we did with the shapes or with the icons of pencil and book, now we're doing it with quarter notes and eighth notes. And students are choosing their own patterns and reading them. And again, this is just something I used in Google Slides earlier this year with my students, and you can find a copy for free in the handout. And actually, you can find all of the engine number 9 activities for free in Google Slides. So students have gone from these iconic notation charts, to now this one. Now it's changing, and students, every once in a while, they'll need to see this and just relate it back, and just that initial review and practice right away. So we will say those 4-beat or 8-beat phrases again, those charts, but we will read them with the new Big Kid way. I explained that the chord notes stand alone and the eighth notes are sort of holding hands. And before COVID, I used to use seats or chairs, my crate seats, as an example. So I would say, everyone is sitting in one seat. You are like a ta or a quarter note. What if John and Jaden shared a seat? They would be like a TT, yes. So I explained that that's what it is. They are sharing a seat. Some great initial practice activities. You can find some awesome YouTube videos. I'm sure you've experienced these and your students have enjoyed them in the past. These initial practice have the icons. Sometimes they'll have the icons with the rhythms. I love that. Elementary groove tracks, ready, go music. And you can see the list here. There's lots of great first practice activities here. And they're great for a sub as well. And then when they're ready for no icons anymore, you can just show them the rhythms here. And you can see there's 16th notes, half notes, rests, all kinds of rhythms that you can find on YouTube. Well, another practice activity that my students just love is playing instruments with a song, accompanying. And so with kindergarten and first grade, I will just select one rhythm for half the class to play on a percussion instrument while the other half is singing a song. And that's sort of like what I showed you with the apple tree, but now they're reading the Big Kid rhythm. And so kindergarten and first graders will do that well with one or maybe two instruments. With my second and third grade and beyond, they can handle it with more than one instrumental part, and they can learn to actually speak or sing the song while they're playing the instruments. And at first it may be hard for them, but they will grow and they will be able to do that. And this is not only helping them build that rhythmic independence because they're hearing others around them, but they also understand what it's like to be in a band. It's really great. Some more practice activities are decoding rhythms. They're hearing a chant or a song and determining the correct rhythms. And we sort of did that with the engine, prepare, but now you can do it with the regular notes. Also, improvising rhythms is a great way to practice. So you can do like a question answer partner game or a circle, like a drum activity. And this is one that I do first. I've Got Rhythm, by George Gershwin. I just do that second section and I'll do the last line a couple times, and everybody will play at the same time and they will just improvise 4 beats. So I will say that let's play rhythms of 4. I'll sing that last line and everyone will play at the same time. It's less daunting for students to do this. That's why I start with it. Then when you're ready for them to play alone, I think the jitters have come out a little bit. Students may, with these question answer activities or improvising, they may sometimes play the same as the last person, or they may just play steady beat. So I relate it to a discussion, and this is something that I just came up with. It's to the tune of 5 Fat Turkeys. And I have the sheet music for you. So I relate it to a discussion, and I will call each student's name, and they will improvise the 4-beat pattern. But I say, he said ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, ti, and you said the same thing? That's a strange discussion. And we talk about how that works because, if your mom said time for bed and you said the same thing, time for bed, you would probably get in trouble. So it's a strange discussion. So we talk about how you can play something different, even if you change it just a little bit. So you can see the sheet music here. Well, these rhythmic practice ideas, you want students to be reading 4 or 8 beat patterns, performing, playing rhythm of a song or adding an ostinato to a song. They're decoding, determining the rhythm, writing, actually handwriting notes, improvising, coming up with rhythms on the spot, composing, maybe they're creating their own rhythms or even making the rhythm match a song or a chant that works with their words. There are lots of different ways that you can have your students practice all of those activities. Rhythm reading games. My students love the interactive type where they click on any picture and it brings them to a matching rhythm to read. Also, write the room games where it's sort of like a scavenger hunt and they record what they found for each picture. Rhythm relay games where they have to maybe hear a rhythm and find a matching card. Also, matching games where they may match the iconic notation with the rhythmic notation. Accompany a song, composing, oral recognition games. I use a lot of those on Google Slides where they hear a rhythm and they click on the matching one. I've got rhythm and rhythm discussion. I mentioned those before. I have, who has, rhythm game. Poison rhythm, where you designate one 4-beat pattern to be a poison rhythm. Students echo you, but not the poison rhythm. Roll a rhythm composing games. And pass a rhythm, sort of like telephone. Well, I hope you have found some ideas that you can use in your classroom with your students. If you'd like to send me a message or connect with me, you can find me at any of these places. My email address is there. I'm on TPT, Beth's Music Classroom. Also, my website and Instagram is at Beth's Music Classroom and Facebook. My entire TPT store will be 20% off during the conference. And also, I'm giving away the pre-rhythm reading bundle and some of the individual activities in it. So you can find the link to that giveaway in your handout. Just be sure to enter by July 17th. Also, you can find the link to our virtual exhibit hall for links to some of the best resources the music crew has to offer. Thank you so much for coming to my session and have a great rest of the conference.